Chris Wood here. I'm a 50-year-old revenge retaliation identity theft victim, identity change, skull split. Skull split and brain damaged. With proof, no neurological problems. I was shot by ex-OPP chief back in 2019. Lies, time buying, cover-ups, arrest refusals, medical blacklisting, discriminations, file falsifications, giving CAT scans, fake CAT scans, and giving others real ones away. False arresting to deflect crimes in an attempt to get out of crimes through the hospital. Police and doctors organized criminal human trafficking, human sex trade, slavery trafficking, identity thefts with inmates they are harboring, and boyfriends to OPP, co-drug traffickers, human traffickers, pedophiles, sex slavery traffickers. Billy Wooldridge, one known as Billy Wooldridge, 149 Center Street North, now bald, glasses, frequents loaf and ale, and coffee cravings, is approximately 70 years old. Blair Frederick Hardy, guilty of murders, killing my mother with Billy Wooldridge through OPP to do this to me. Tyler T. Bag Lake, Jason Gimpy, two-step Van Alstyne, Ray, a guy that has two white pit bulls behind Mamma Mia's Pizzeria here in Napanee on East and Dundas Street, and Dale Hartwick, Tony Hearns, drug traffickers aiding OPP in crimes for drop charges. My full right brain has been screwed, no feeling or stimulation for months, not being able to get help, right lung completely damaged, right kidney damaged, full skull split, full identity changes with proof, not being able to do nothing about it, called a lie, and recently charged for the hospital for going there and for telling the CEO that about his crimes that he was guilty of and that he needed to be arrested and charged, who he was working for, and what he was doing by criminally and negligently covering crimes. I go to get private prosecution that morning to finish this up, to get arresting and charging on cops and doctors for probably my 10th time trying it. Conveniently, I then go to the hospital that day after doing this, and I was the one that was arrested before I had a chance to file anything on police, justice of the peace, doctors, and others who are criminally involved. Wooldridge, Hardy, Lake, Van Alstyne, Hartwick, Hearns, Ray, and Robert Berry, Maggie Falls, Bert Hustler, all with them for OPP, fentanyl trafficking, meth, heroin, crack that's going around, all coming from OPP, being passed around and trafficked through these people. The lies, time buying, cover ups, arrest refusals, false arrest, kidnapping, sodomy, sex assault. Completely and totally fucking injuring my brain and keeping me from help to prevent proof and help. This is how OPP are committing their crimes, along with the doctors who are aiding them criminally and co-committing. CEO Wayne Coveyduck, administration, patient relations, had me charged the first time for phoning and telling her of crimes the doctors in hospital were guilty of and needing arresting and charging. As a result, it was done to me. Lies about having long criminal record and history, not true in any way, shape, or form. Lies a long psychological record and history, not true in any way, shape, or form. Lies about drugs that aren't true in any way, shape, or form. and all need to be proven. But because I had long hair and my tattoos and who it was coming from, it was believed to prevent me help to buy time. Spencer Mills 14716, now allegedly Aurelia, ex-chief or commander, year 2019, had me shot, not by a bullet, but by something that went into my right ear before he left in August of 2019. Drove a white Jeep Wrangler. Staff Sergeant sodomy, sex assault, and kidnapping through Shelley Hafner, one of them, May 27, 2021. 24 hours after asking for help with what has taken place with me in these crimes. That was done in an attempt to shut me up through incompetency bullshit through a Judge Chappelle in Kingston. Also, when they got my blood and my piss, and then they had me falsely charged to get everything they needed for my pictures, prints, signatures, and whatever for this forgeries, framings, and frauds and identity theft against me. And I will not be proven wrong. The lies, the time buying, treating me as the criminal when I am the victim and they are the perpetrators involved in this, and this is how they're getting away with it. Poor, homeless, elderly, disabled, they know once they cast their lies here against their victims, there's basically no help here, especially here in Napanee, when they got other cops who will aid them in their crimes, who will take unquestionable orders. They have a justice of the peace. They have doctors. They have inmates, and they have others that are doing this right here in Napanee. And this is how they're getting out of arrest and lawsuits, plus the transferring in hopes of deniability through their badge, while being still guilty to get out of arrest and lawsuits in hopes of deniability, in hopes to fuck over their victims more. The lies, the time buying until damages are completely done, and then when they're done, you completely screw your victim even more. This is how you're getting away with your crimes. Families of murdered and missing, it is Ontario Provincial Police. Human trafficking, human sex trade, slavery trafficking, it is Ontario Provincial Police. And inmates and the doctors that are co-committing and criminally covering up their crimes for themselves, for police, and for inmates. Organized crime and trafficking, lies, time buying, cover-ups. My identity theft is how OPP traffic, frame, and kill. I am also the end of my bloodline. They had my mother stalked and murdered through Wooldridge and Hardy once again. Wooldridge was calling my mother mom. While he was stalking her, he was phoning her and he was threatening her life and my life through her before actually killing her, using R&M on her, causing tumors, causing cancers, causing her death was with intent because of her age and with the EMFs and radiation. And all it takes to operate this is cell phone, Wi-Fi, and computer. Once it is inside a person, destruction of the central nervous system enables for invasive surveillance, and this is how this is happening to me. Once I was implanted or shot by something that went into my right ear, and that's when all the lies and time buying and everything else happened. Being surrounded, hands on guns by police to prevent anything illegal on them or anyone else, with proof, obstructions, kidnapping, doing everything, criminal stalking, doing everything to stop me and prevent me from help and proof, and using the hospital, using scumbag pieces of shit, junkies like Tyler Teabag fucking Lake, who's probably 25, 30 years old. I am 50 years old and going through identity theft by a scumbag piece of shit punk. Him and Jason Gimpy, two-step Van Alstyne, the two biggest meth and crackheads going. And obviously obsessed homosexual, stalker, serial killer piece of shit boyfriend to Spencer Mills, 14716, and also allegedly boss to Banditos MC Motorcycle Club here in Ontario, Canada, along with the one known as Billy Wooldridge, who is allegedly Hell's Angels. They're heroin dealers, drug traffickers, human sex trade, slavery traffickers using R&M for invasive surveillance on children because it enables invasive surveillance hands-free, but they can still also molest through it. And your children might not even be aware of it, using it on victims to criminally injure their brains while keeping them from help and buying time to get out of the crimes that they are guilty of. This is how OPP are working with their little bastards and doing it right here in Napanee. I spoke police crimes and I became a target. The human homeless trafficking and the homeless exploitation for monetary gains and other crimes taking place as a result. This has all happened to me, plus a lot more. Even my dogs were killed. Arson attempts, throwing blood on my previous address, and death threats, arson threats here where I am, which could result in the death of many plus destruction of businesses. And these are all OPP little pieces of shit that they will not and cannot touch because they are owned by them and they are working with it for them. Luckily, nobody here knows what R&M is, and this is how they're frying my fucking brain. This is how they're getting away with their crimes, Pontius Pilate style, using this in hopes to mentally fuck people up so they can justifiably finish the crimes that they are guilty of. And if they cause homelessness when a person is trafficked or disappeared, nobody is going to think of anything different. They're not gonna suspect a crime happening, especially when it's being done through the police. They'll lies about being suicidal and on drugs, so that way when they kill or traffic or a person disappears, they can always use that narrative. Mental illness, drugs, whatever the case may be, they can use that narrative to lie against their victims to be above suspicion to get away with it. And that's how it's working, especially with the R&M, causing cancers in victims, mentally torturing their victims, frying fucking brains. And this is being used through a bunch of meth fed, drug fed pieces of shit. Be safe, everybody, because this is also about not only identity thefts and financial thefts and frauds, but bank thefts and frauds, welfare and disability thefts and frauds, and homicides that they are causing and committing and successfully getting away with all of the pieces of shit I previously named and shown. All working with and for Lennox and Addington, Ontario Provincial Police.